The morning air was crisp, and I stood on my porch, coffee in hand, watching the world hold its breath. Then it came me a sickening crack that split the silence like a gunshot. The bridge, that cursed bridge, snapped clean in two, its wooden skeleton collapsing into the creek below. For a heartbeat, nobody moved. Even the sparrows fell quiet. Then screams erupted high-pitched, panicked as two figures clung to the splintered railing, their legs dangling above the churning water. One of them, Victor Hayes, the smug head of the Homeowners Association, went white as a ghost as the beam beneath him groaned, threatening to give way. I didn't flinch. Arms crossed, I watched from my porch as their so-called legacy bridge crumbled, piece by pathetic piece. They'd called it a triumph, a symbol of unity, plastering it across newsletters with headlines screaming progress. But there was one problem they couldn't gloss over. They'd built it on my land, without so much as a nod in my direction. And that collapse? Let's just say it wasn't entirely a surprise. My name's Tom Baxter, a retired firefighter who spent the last decade tending to Willow Creek Ranch, a sprawling piece of earth my family's owned since the 1880s. It's just me now, save for my loyal companion, Rusty, a 9-year-old border collie with sharper instincts than most people I know. My old friend Mike, a former Marine who lives a mile down the trail, helps me keep the fences standing when he's not busy with his own place. The ranch sits on the edge of Clearview, a sleepy town that was paradise until developers rolled in with their cookie-cutter mansions and an HOA that acted like they owned the whole county. They called themselves stewards of the community, but to me, they were the order of overreach, meddling in everything from flower beds to flagpoles, sticking their noses where they didn't belong. At first, I ignored them. My ranch wasn't part of their precious subdivision, and I had deeds older than their entire board to prove it. But they started small, nibbling at my boundaries. A fence shifted a few inches, a trail accidentally cleared across my northern ridge. I sent letters, made calls, even hired a lawyer, but they treated me like some cranky old man too tired to fight. Then came the bridge. One morning, the rumble of trucks woke me. I followed the noise to the creek that cuts through my land and found workers pouring concrete and stacking beams. Who authorized this? I demanded. A nervous kid in a hard hat mumbled, "The HOA. They said it's part of the community greenway." Greenway, my ass. That creek was mine, clear as day on every map that mattered. The bridge wasn't for emergencies or public good. It was a vanity project to make their Sunday walks more scenic. I marched to the HOA's shiny glass office, a pretentious building with a fake waterfall and a sign proclaiming Clearview Community First. Victor was there, sipping artisanal coffee, his smile as slick as oil. "Why are you building on my land?" I asked, voice steady but sharp. He slid over a glossy brochure, not even a legal map, claiming my creek was part of their development plan. "Tom, this bridge will boost your property value," he said, leaning back like he'd done me a favor. "You should be grateful." Grateful? That's when I knew these people weren't just clueless, they were dangerous. I tried the legal route. My attorney, Ellen, a property law veteran, confirmed the HOA had no claim to my land. We sent cease and desist letters, filed complaints, but they dragged their feet, acting like it was all a mix-up while their bridge grew taller. Mike was livid, pounding a fence post into the ground as he growled, "They're testing you, Tom. You gotta hit back." I wasn't looking for a brawl, but I wasn't about to let them trample my family's legacy either. When the HOA announced a ribbon-cutting ceremony for their grand opening, I'd had enough. They sent flyers to every homeowner, hyping up a test walk to celebrate nature and neighborhood unity. I saw the truth. They'd rushed the job, skipped permits, used cheap materials, and hired cut-rate contractors. The bridge was a disaster waiting to happen. So, I let them have their moment. On the big day, Victor led the parade, scissors in hand for the ribbon, while his wife, Linda, live-streamed for their social media. Homeowners, board members, even a local reporter showed up. Then it happened. A deep crack echoed across the valley. The bridge sagged, planks splintered, and Victor and another board member, Paul, dropped, tangled in cables, swinging over the creek as screams filled the air. Linda's phone hit the dirt, but not before capturing it all. I stood there, unflinching, as their pride and joy became kindling. The aftermath was chaos. Victor, caked in mud, limped up to me, jabbing a finger in my face as cameras rolled. "You did this, Baxter. You sabotaged us." I raised an eyebrow. "Your bridge, on my land," I said, loud enough for the reporter to catch. "I warned you. Multiple times." I pulled my deed from my coat, a century-old document, and handed it to the reporter. Her eyes widened as she realized the HOA had built illegally. Victor stammered, but the damage was done. The live stream went viral, captioned with phrases like HOA's epic fail and rancher warned them. The town was buzzing, and the HOA was scrambling. The county sent an engineer, a no-nonsense guy named Carl, to inspect the wreckage. He held up a warped nail and a photo of flimsy pine joists, shaking his head. This wasn't just shoddy, it was reckless. No permits, no inspections, upside-down brackets, and bolts barely holding. He looked at Victor. "Who's your contractor?" Linda, flipping through a binder, muttered, "Riverfront Builders." Carl raised an eyebrow. "Never heard of them." I chimed in, "That's because they're not licensed in this state." I checked. Carl's jaw tightened. "This isn't just bad work. It's negligence. Maybe worse." The HOA tried to spin it, sending flyers claiming I was a threat to community safety. They even had the gall to send real estate agents sniffing around, asking if I was struggling to maintain my ranch. Then things got uglier. One night, Rusty barked like hell at the southern fence. I found it cut clean with bolt cutters, tire tracks gouging my land. This wasn't just trespassing, it was war. I called Sheriff Hank, an old firefighting buddy, who confirmed the tracks came from a fancy SUV, likely one of the HOAs. "Press charges?" he asked. "Not yet," I said. "But warn them." I crashed their next emergency meeting, uninvited, a folder stuffed with evidence, my deed, Carl's report, and footage from Mike's wildlife camera showing Victor, Linda, and Paul trespassing at dawn, hauling materials onto my land. The room went dead silent as I laid it all out. "You lied, trespassed, and endangered lives," I said. "And now you're trying to paint me as the villain." A homeowner stood up. "Is it true you cut his fence?" Linda opened her mouth, but I cut her off. "I've got video. Want to see it?" The crowd turned on them, demanding answers. Doubt spread like wildfire. Then came the bombshell. Ellen uncovered a 1985 utilities agreement signed by my grandfather, stating no construction could cross our creek without family consent or we could seize any offending structures. That included the HOA's clubhouse, built on a trailhead that crossed my property line. They'd known it and built anyway. Then Mike handed me a hard drive with more footage, clear shots of the HOA's illegal work, no safety gear, no permits. But the real kicker came during legal discovery, a leaked video from a junior board member showing Victor and Linda plotting to blame me if the bridge failed. "Baxter's old," Victor sneered. "He won't fight. If it collapses, it's on him." Linda laughed. "Maybe he'll sell and get out." That video was our ace. In court, Judge Margaret Holt played it for a packed room. Her eyes burned through Victor and Linda as she declared me cleared of sabotage and greenlit my countersuit. "Criminal investigations will follow," she snapped. The courtroom erupted in applause. Victor slumped. Linda sobbed. My lawyer, Rachel, whispered, "You didn't just win, Tom. You buried them." But the fight wasn't over. One night, Rusty growled at fresh footprints near the creek, not boots, but deliberate, sneaky tracks leading to an old stump. Beneath it, I'd buried a time capsule years ago, holding a treaty from 1879 that locked my family's claim to the land forever. Someone was digging for it. I unearthed it myself, heart pounding, and found the parchment intact, a legal sledgehammer. Ellen nearly gasped when she saw it. "This doesn't just protect your land," she said. "It could dismantle the HOA entirely." We gave them an ultimatum: step down, forfeit illegal structures, and apologize publicly or face federal charges. They folded. At a final town meeting, Victor read a hollow apology, his pride in tatters. The crowd cheered, not for him, but for the truth. I turned the clubhouse into a learning center, teaching kids about the land, fire safety, and history. We planted trees along the creek, each marked with a plaque, built on truth, protected by generations. The HOA is a shadow now, run by honest folks focused on potholes, not power grabs. As I stood by the creek one evening, Rusty at my side, an old neighbor, George, pulled me aside. "Your dad saved me from that creek as a kid," he said. "You Baxters always protect this land." "Thank you." That hit harder than any court win. But late that night, Rusty barked again. More footprints, fresh and sharp, circling the stump. Someone was still out there, watching, waiting. They hadn't given up. And neither would I.